Thanks very much.
Thank you. We'll go to Mr. Angus for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been sitting at this table for 15 years. I used to be young and good-looking and have dark hair. And the one thing Thank you, Frank. It's just because we're the same age. In
front of me there?
Taking my time, Speaker. Call him out. When I see questions from the Auditor General, I have to ask those questions. I mean, that's, an Auditor General raises a red flag. That's a red flag. So my question is in terms of the negotiations at the federal level. When did John Broadhead get involved in the conversation? Was that prior to the framework agreement?
I'm not aware of any conversations with John Broadhead. There was the email that you mentioned, and that's the thing that I didn't get to say. That email was about scheduling the Prime Minister, the Premier, the Mayor, and the head of one of the largest corporations in the world. A very tough thing to schedule. That wasn't about selecting Sidewalk. It wasn't about
I understand that. I just
yeah.
wanted to know when he was getting involved, because the Auditor General noted that said that matters that should have been handled by formal consultations with other levels of government, obviously, to me, the city should have been really involved. It says, were instead, quote, discussed at a senior political level. So was that senior political level at the federal level?
I don't know anything about that.
Well, that was in the Auditor General's report.
I don't know anything about discussions at the senior.
Okay, because she was concerned. She raised that flag because I think, to my colleague, Mr. Vaughan, certainly many of these issues are city issues, and she was concerned at how that consultation process hadn't gone down. Just the other thing that the Auditor General said, and I'm just a little confused here, because you said it was a 156-day RFP?
He said 159.
159. The Auditor General said it was only 6 weeks. And she said that it was 10 weeks for an art installation project and the waterfront. And she said that she agreed that Sidewalks Lab was given the go-ahead because it was the most comprehensive, but this was because that she says they were given preferential treatment even well in advance of the RFP. So that's why it went ahead. So if the Auditor General believes it's 6 weeks, why didn't you explain to her that she was wrong?
So, Mr. Chair, if I can address that. The Auditor General's 6-week time period actually relates to what would be the equivalent of a pre-qualification period. The full 159 days is the full duration of the RFP process, including what is the best and final offer process of the submission.
The Auditor General know that? I mean, she's a pretty smart lady, eh? Like, she raised this as
Definitely.
one of the issues.
This was a very complicated issue to explain to her because it followed a very different model in terms of the terminology that was being used.
I guess she didn't get it? Like, this is her job, and she said that Sidewalk Labs was given preferential treatment, that this conversation began in 2016, long before the RFP went out, so they were prepared for this, and that she said, compared to an art installation, that this was a very short RFP.
No, Mr. Chair, this was actually 159 days. The first phase of that submission was only the 6 weeks that was referred to, but the entire process was 159 days. That is a fact on our records. It's the second longest RFP process that we have ever run as a corporation. With regards to any element of
Auditor General on that? Because, I mean, it's in all the papers, and I just think if the Auditor General doesn't know what she's talking about, you should have been correcting the record.
I wouldn't say the Auditor General does not know what she's talking about. Her and her staff were extraordinarily competent when they worked with Waterfront Toronto. We have no inkling of anything otherwise. But I also want to touch upon the preferential treatment component of it. The Auditor General pointed to a number of different pieces of information that we shared with a variety of different individuals, different companies that were through the market sounding process. Sidewalk Labs was well into that market sounding process of the 50-plus companies that we spoke to. The information that she had pointed to were exhibits that were in the flood protection due diligence report, which was publicly available. There was publicly available websites, including links to the economic development site of the City of Toronto.
You did give information to others, but she said you gave more and preferential treatment to them. So that was what she said.
That was her interpretation.
That was her interpretation. Okay, thank you.
We're at time. I believe